We start tonight with the big story, impeachment. Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell, a member of both the House Intel and Judiciary Committees, joins me this evening. Congressman, thank you very much. Good to have you with us today.
Of course. Good evening, Martha.
But what do you make of those, heated interactions that you're seeing in some of these 31 swing districts? And then also Adam Schiff got some backlash in his district as well.
Well, it shows the courage that my colleagues have brought to this decision-making process. I've heard Republicans accuse Democrats, in fact, Ranking Member Doug Collins, for hours today in the Rules Committee, said all the Democrats are doing are playing to their base. Well, if you look at Alyssa Slotkin and others standing before their town halls and their constituents, and you see people disagreeing with their decision to move forward on impeachment, that's actually not playing to your base at all. That is standing up for what you believe in. No, they're making tough decisions.
There's no doubt about it. How many of those 31 do you think can survive the elections in 2020?
I think the voters will reward them for their conviction. I really believe that people understand that this is about our national security, our election integrity, and our oath to the Constitution. It's not about politics, and whether you agree with what we're going to do tomorrow or not, that is why every person who will vote for impeachment is doing it.
Does it concern you? When I looked at today, some very interesting in the Quinnipiac polls, when you looked at some of the numbers underneath the top line numbers, independents, 58% of independents in that Quinnipiac poll said that they're against impeachment. So, I just wonder if you're right about those swing districts and obviously the tough votes that those people are going to have to take.
I don't know about the Quinnipiac poll, but I know about another organization called Fox, and they had their own poll, and I looked at the independent polling there, and a majority of the people polled thought that what the president had done was wrong, and more people than not thought that the president committed bribery.
That's a poll that we covered last night as well.
50% said he should be removed in the Fox poll.
50% said he should be removed. 4% rather said impeach but do not remove. That's the Fox poll,
which we showed everybody. Fox is more credible than Quinnipiac, right?
I think they're all credible. Those are all good, solid polls that I think people rely on across the spectrum. So that's why we bring them all to everybody. We've got a CNN poll, we've got a Quinnipiac poll, we've got a Fox poll. All those numbers are going out there tonight. So
and they're all higher than the Clinton impeachment approval numbers, by the way.
Okay. So let me ask you this. It was very interesting to me when I watched Senator Schumer come out today and say that they need more witnesses on the Senate side. And it looked as though he was kind of pointing the finger back at his colleagues in the House and suggesting that you all had left business unfinished. How do you feel about that?
He's right about the 4 witnesses he says that we need to hear from. And remember, the president has told those witnesses not to come forward. The difference between the House proceeding...
Why don't you subpoena all of them, and why don't they push for them all to come? And put it through the court system and wait.
And so they have been subpoenaed.
One of them was recalled.
12 of 14 of them have been subpoenaed. But, Martha, the difference between the House proceeding and the Senate proceeding, and this is what Senator Schumer knows, is that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court will be presiding over the Senate proceeding. So if the senators want to hear from those witnesses and the Chief Justice says that they're relevant, you can conclude probably that that's how the Supreme Court would rule, and the senators would then have to vote against the ruling of the Chief Justice. So we don't have a Chief Justice of the Supreme Court here in the House. And so that's why Senator Schumer is making that argument.
Well, you heard what Mitch McConnell said. He said, our job is to be the jury, and it's the House's job to run the investigation. So he's essentially saying, you had your chance. You could have waited. You pushed it through, and that was your, political decision, reality decision, whatever it is. But that's where it stands right now.
I think the American people expect a fair trial, and trials have witnesses, and there are still relevant witnesses. And then the point is, if what the House has proved is not enough, and I think we've shown abuse of power that's jeopardized national security and election integrity. If that's not enough and you still have lingering questions, well, these 4 individuals have information that would be relevant. I also think it's relevant that the president's telling them not to go forward because innocent men do not conceal or hide evidence. They are forthcoming and cooperative, and they do that because they have nothing to hide.
All right. Well, they also protect executive privilege, which presidents have done up and down the line in the course of all of these impeachment processes that we have seen. So, I don't think that's all that surprising.
If the president had exonerating evidence, he would say, you know what, I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to make these executive privilege arguments, even though I know that I'm innocent. I really care about executive privilege. I don't buy it.
I just get that.
Not with this president.
I have no idea what the president feels, but just looking at it as an observer of both sides of this process, I think there's reason to believe on both, that there's not a whole lot of fairness and open-mindedness in this process, and that he probably feels like he's not going to get a fair shot if they do put people out there. I don't know.
He released that call. He released the call record because he thought it was a perfect call, and that made him look innocent. So why wouldn't he release the witnesses, and why wouldn't he release the documents?
Well,
I think
you know
that's
what?
a fair
I think
question.
if those witnesses would exonerate him, they should put him out there. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Eric Swalwell, thank you very much.
Of course,
Good to see you
my pleasure.
tonight.